Well, childproofing someone else's home when you're visiting them, how to keep them, your kids basically, safe without imposing too much on your friends and family. And joining us with some advice is the author of Travels with Baby, the ultimate guide for planning trips with babies, toddlers, and preschool-age children. Please welcome back Shelly Rivoli. Hi, Shelly. How are you? Nice to see you again.
Great to see you guys.
Is it rude to make sure someone else's home is childproof?
That's a really good question to know, because first of all, you know, your primary objective is to make sure your child is safe wherever you go. But the last thing you want to do is make your host feel like you doubt them or think they want to jeopardize your child's safety in any way. So that's a really good question, and of course you want to be very sensitive whenever you approach any of the topics, any of your concerns with them. But you should do that. Just, you know, be sensitive and understand.
Well, you know, I remember when my kids were young and I was going to leave them in someone else's care, I was always checking out everything, you know. My visual inspection was the first thing I did before I started asking questions. Is that typical?
Well, yes, I think most parents, you know, we all know our children better than anyone else, and each child can be so different from the next, too. You know, some children put everything in their mouths, and a few precious others, thankfully, don't do anything. But you know your child, and when you walk in, do a survey. It's a good idea. You know what they will see. Exactly. Do a mental walkthrough.
So what are you looking for in that mental walkthrough?
Yeah. Well, usually when you go stay with someone, it's a friend or a relative whose home you've been in before, but maybe last time your child was a baby and now they're a toddler. So it's good before you go to just, you know, think through in your mind, are there stairs? Is there maybe a fireplace they'll be using in the winter time, a swimming pool? Is there a fence around it? Are there low windows to be concerned about that maybe they don't think about so much since they're living there all the time?
Now, before you arrive, you should talk through any safety concerns.
Well, talk through your big safety concerns. Again, you want to be very sensitive to your hosts and, you know, not offend them in any way.
Right.
But for the bigger issues, if you know right now your child is going through a phase where he needs to climb, it's just a built-in thing, you know, part of him. It's not a bad idea to mention that, so they can just have a heads up and know maybe that decorative plant stand in the corner could get moved onto the porch or somewhere a little less accessible while you're there. Things
you have
like that.
a recommendation I really love. That is, once you arrive, get a child's eye view of the situation. What things would you be looking for if you try to look through the eyes of your child?
That's good. No, you know, the first thing you can do is get down on your hands and knees and climb under the dining table, but you don't really have to do that. It's just good, again, to go in, you know your child. You know, if they're obsessed with stereo equipment and VCRs or table lamps or floor lamps, as soon as you walk in, just take your quick survey and you know which things are probably going to attract your child the most, and just think through, okay, how can I anticipate this situation? What can I do about it in a calm and polite way?
And while you're there with your friends and family and the kids, always appoint one person at a time to be in charge of watching your child.
That's really important, because a strange psychological phenomenon happens when you're in groups of people, and that is that everyone seems to relax more because everyone assumes somebody's keeping track of the kid. With so many people around, nothing can happen to the baby or the toddler. But unfortunately, that's actually when a lot of tragedies happen in the home and in other people's homes, because you relax and you assume with so many people around, nothing's going to happen. But it's a good idea to just appoint one person at a time. If you're going to leave and help in the kitchen, say to someone, I'm leaving you in charge of so-and-so, you know, and just make sure.
So, Shelly, what kind of gadgets did you bring today?
Well, thanks for pointing them out.
Move this out of the way.
First of all, this is one of the least expected gadgets that I like to recommend to people. It's very unexpected. Garden training wire.
Is that for your garden?
Not just for the garden.
Oh, what else is it for?
This is a plastic-coated wire that's very flexible. And while at home you may have a lot of little cabinet latches and locks that work, that can be a little tricky in someone else's home where you're not sure the measurements of things. This, in a snap, in a pinch, you can use to wrap around any size or shape or configuration of drawer pulls, cabinet latches, things like that. So very handy.
And that?
This is called a dormouse finger guard. And it actually slips over the side of a door. You put it up high where the child can't reach it. but it keeps the door from
slamming shut
on tiny fingers. A great idea if there are older children running around, maybe being a little rambunctious.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also where there are doors, you don't want your child to get locked behind accidentally.
Okay,
things
that's
like
good.
that. So it also works great on refrigerator doors that are side by side with the continuous handles.
Oh, right.
Oh,
Yes.
It goes right over
Right.
the top.
And the
So
last one?
this is just a doorknob cover, and it goes over basically any round doorknob, but little hands cannot open it, only big hands. So on someone's restroom door, bathroom
Yes.
door, even the front door, so grown-ups can come and go, but the toddlers can't.
Okay,
Gotcha.
well, Shelly Rivoli, thank you so
Great.
much.
Yeah.
The book is Travels with Baby. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, Shelly. Okay.